Healthy.
This is a series aimed at providing older adults with resources on health, fitness, finances, and other services.
Happy and Healthy.
Welcome to another edition of Happy and Healthy, a series that's devoted to helping older adults and their families learn more about the resources available to them in the community. Today we're going to be talking about eating right or healthy. And we have with us Michelle Ingram, who is Supervisor of Human Services at Hillsborough County Family and Aging Services. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. Kathryn Allen, who's the Director of the Department of Nutrition and also a registered dietitian at Moffitt Cancer Center. Welcome to you. Thank you for being here. And Andrea Brogen, the Director of Community Relations for our wonderful Meals on Wheels program here in Tampa. I'm Louise Thompson. I'm the Executive Director of Tampa Bay Community Network, where ordinary people can come down, learn video production services, and have their own show just like this one. So please come and see us for that. Well, let's talk a little bit about the three programs that you all represent first. Michelle, start with you. Tell us about Hillsborough County's Family and Aging Services.
Okay, I would love to. Hillsborough County provides nutritious meals for seniors 60 and older. So for those that would like to have a hot lunch, we provide meals Monday through Friday at one of our senior centers. And we have senior centers all throughout Hillsborough County, so we can provide you with the website, and they can actually go online or even call if they don't have a computer to find out where the closest senior center or senior site is where they serve meals. And then in addition to that, if they are not able to come to the senior center, they can receive the home delivered meals if they're more homebound. So we can also provide the nutritious meals for them. We can bring them to the home and ensure that they are receiving at least the nutritional portion of the meals that they need so they can sustain their quality of life.
Great. Kathryn, how about telling us about what Moffitt does and what you do in your department?
Well, the Moffitt Cancer Center is an NCI-designated cancer center. It's the only one in the state of Florida. It's a comprehensive cancer center, which means we do everything within the whole spectrum of the diagnosis of cancer, from prevention through treatment and then recovery. So we educate the public about how to reduce risk for cancer and also how to manage their potential side effects during treatment, and then how to reduce the risk of a recurrence after treatment. And as the director, I do staff development and develop education and training for the public as well as our patients.
In their nutritional
needs? The nutritional needs of patients as well as the general public.
That's great. Andrea, you want to tell us about Meals on Wheels? Have been here forever, hasn't it? Or for a very long time, anyway.
It has. It's been here 37 years in Tampa. And we serve over 700 seniors and homebound every day, Monday through Friday. It is delivered to their door. It's delivered hot. And they can also get weekend meals delivered on Friday, 2 frozen meals for the weekend if they choose to do that. So we're not government funded. We're supported totally by this community. And like I said, we serve over 700 every day.
I think a lot of people don't know that you aren't government funded.
Yeah, we're not.
Is that a myth? What are the myths you deal with?
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the myths. Our budget right now, it grew recently. Our recipient base has grown. Right now our budget is $1.8 million a year. And we do accept grants.
That's a lot of money for 700 people a day.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
You said a day, right, didn't you?
Yeah, a day.
Yeah.
We have 900 active, but about 200 of those might be in the hospital or have doctor's appointments. So yesterday was 717 people a day.
You also provide meals to people who may have been injured and are not seniors, right?
Right. It's basically that you're homebound. Okay. So you either can't make your meals or you can't get to the store. Mm-hmm. So we've had people in their 20s or 30s, maybe they suffered a car accident, or maybe they're terminally ill and they just need that extra support. You know, they can't get to the store anymore to buy their food. But, you know, we have 6 people over 100 also.
Andrea, is there an income level at which people can get the meals free and maybe not free, and they can pay for them, or that kind of thing?
Right, so when they call us, our first thing we want to talk about is if they're homebound or not. Mm-hmm. As long as they qualify with that, then we talk about income. Our meals are $4.75 a day.
So I can't say I'm working and please send the meals at home, right? Is that what you
Right,
mean?
exactly.
Darn, 'cause that sounds so good, you know?
But the meals are for $75. However, if you're under tight budget constraints, you're just living off Social Security, we work on a sliding scale. So about 30 to 40% of our recipients pay $1 or $2 a meal, and another 30% do not pay anything. They just can't afford it. So we really work with them to see where they are.
How does that work with, Michelle, how does that work with the county? Do they, you said there can be,
Yeah,
do you using Meals on Wheels
we
or another
actually
program?
partner with Meals on Wheels because, like Andrea said, there's so many people that are in need of a nutritious meal that, of course, the county does need a little help with making sure that we service all of the clients that we have in the community. But we do provide the home delivered meals, also breakfast, and very similar, the frozen meals for those that need them. And with us, of course, we're county, so we do receive grant dollars and county dollars, state dollars to assist us with the cost. But of course, due to budget cuts, you know, we have a limited amount that we can provide out to the community. Our home delivered meal program right now, we are open for enrollment, so we are enrolling clients for the home delivered meal program. And the eligibility is that they have to be homebound. So if they have a vehicle and they're able to go to the grocery store and shop, then they wouldn't necessarily qualify. But we always tell people that if you know of someone who is homebound that really does need the meal, by all means give us a call, and then we can do an assessment to see exactly where they are, whether their financial needs or if they meet the criteria, which for us, they have to be 60 and older.
Kathryn, tell us about, I know they're running programs that are really helpful to people, but I know there's a lot of misinformation out there, or maybe myth information about what we should all be eating or not eating. I know we have, like, the Department of Health changed our pyramid into something else or whatever. What recommendations do you make as a dietitian, both just normally and then if somebody has cancer? Are there things you should avoid or make sure you eat or that kind of thing?
Well, what the evidence consistently shows is that eating a diet that is primarily plant-based, not necessarily vegetarian, but 3/4 of what's on your plate should come from plant foods. And that's why the USDA changed from the pyramid to the plate method. So you can look at your plate and say, okay, let me divide it into quarters. 3/4 of that should come from plants, 1/4 should come from animals, so that we can make sure we have a balance. So it's about balance, variety, and moderation. We also know that excess body fat increases cancer risk. So what should you do? You should eat according to your appetite and eat enough to be satisfied, and then have a balance, variety, and a wide range of plant foods.
Are there foods that, I've heard this before, I just wonder if it's true. Stay away from sugar because cancer loves sugar, these kinds of...
Yeah, that's a very common misconception.
It is a miss?
It is. Sugar is in a lot of things, naturally, as well as added to a lot of things. When we think about sugar, typically people think of the sugar in the sugar bowl. It's a concentrated source of simple sugar. It came from sugar cane, so it started as a vegetable, basically. And what we've done is refined it. There are a lot of foods that have that refined sugar added, which increases the calorie concentration of that food. So we know that having excess calories increases weight, which then increases cancer risk. But does sugar directly cause cancer? No. When we eat foods that contain carbohydrates, they're all digested and broken down into sugar in our bodies, and that's our primary fuel source. So the only way to deprive those cancer cells of sugar is to deprive your healthy cells, and we don't want to do that. So no,
well, you can
doesn't.
understand that logic then, how that came about, huh?
Yes, I understand why people may think that, and there's a lot of misinformation out there about it, but sugar doesn't directly feed cancer cells, no.
Are there recommended, aside from the plate method and the plant method, is there a recommendation? You do have cancer, you're losing weight because you're on chemo or all these things. Are there recommendations that are made? I mean, we certainly hear a lot of advertising for glucerna and this and that, all kinds of things. And I just wonder, are there things that Moffitt or you personally think people should make sure they get into their meals?
That's a good question, and that kind of ties into the older adult and what happens as we age. As we get older, and cancer is a disease that happens more often in older adults, we know our body mass decreases and we burn fewer calories. So if we're not more cautious about what we're eating, we can easily gain too much weight. Conversely, if you have a situation where you're undergoing medical treatment and your appetite is decreased, it's important to optimize the foods that you're eating and make sure that the foods you do eat have a high nutrient content. And the nutrients that are most important during treatment are protein, because protein is required to maintain muscle and strength and also to fight off infection and to replace your blood cells once they turn over. So protein is very important, and oftentimes when there's a decrease in appetite, there may be a decrease in protein intake, so we encourage that. Also, calories in any source, in any form, from any source, will help to maintain body weight if weight is decreasing. So oftentimes what we have to do is tell people to liberalize their diet and start reintroducing some of the foods that they may have been avoiding for other health reasons. For example, a lot of people are saying, oh, I don't want to eat fat and I don't want to eat sodium because of my cholesterol or my blood pressure.
Yeah.
Right. Well, with weight loss, blood pressure goes down. So if you're losing weight because of an illness, you may need to reintroduce some of those foods that you've been avoiding, and that can help with appetite, and that can help to increase intake when appetite is poor.
The programs that you both run that deliver food, Meals on Wheels in the county, I know you don't get into the dietitian portions of it or the nutritious portion of it, but you have other people that do that, right?
Yeah, actually with the county, we do have a dietitian that reviews, they look at the menus before they're actually set. So we know what's going to be delivered and what's going to be actually given even at our meal sites. And of course, the meals are in accordance with making sure that there's a well-balanced plate there for them. And then at the meal sites, the nice thing is that we're able to provide the education for them, because that's a key piece too, is that a lot of them, they grow up eating a certain way. And now that they're getting older and they're declining a little bit, or they're having more ailments, or just to maintain their health, they have to reintroduce foods, or in some cases maybe eliminate foods that they're used to eating or that they've been accustomed to eating, because that's what Mom and Dad taught us, how to eat these things. They receive the education so that they can maintain their health and become and stay healthy.
And I think one very important thing that you pointed out is that it needs to be individualized. And that's what the registered dietitian does. That's our role, is to help individualize that meal plan and that eating plan according to their situation, their age, their medical condition, anything else that may be going on with them.
Right, and that's a key piece too, because a lot of times what will happen is they'll compare notes. Friends will compare notes. I'm diabetic, I have high blood pressure, so I can't have all these things, but in some cases I really need some of those things in my diet. I can't eliminate, because then if I eliminate too many of them, the calories and some good fats, I'm going to lose weight, and then if I lose weight, I'm going to become weak, and then I won't be able to function independently in my home. And so the education, I think, is really a key piece. As we get older, we have to ensure that we're learning what's good for us, what's going to be good for me isn't necessarily going to be good for you. So
and our requirements change over time too, and they change based on our condition at that time.
For you, you probably also have somebody who plans out meals for what's going out to the community. They're not individualized, are they? I mean, you can't possibly do that on a...
Yeah, as good as we are, we just can't make those customized meals.
I mean, that's why they're providing education programs, no doubt, because they can't do it. You can't. You can't make a different meal for the person in apartment 2E than 2F. I mean, you just can't do it, right?
And we deliver, I think, very similar, where we'll have we have a menu for the month. So whatever's on that menu, there's going to be maybe some alterations, but for the most part, what you get is what I get.
Right.
And so we just have to make sure that if I'm going to receive the meal, that there's no additional salt that I'm adding or hot sauce added onto the food.
So that's why you're doing your education. Make sure
It-
you don't do that. What? How do you?
Yeah,
how
so
do
we
you do
have a great chef out of New York, and what he does is he makes the menu.
The
for
minute you
city-
say New York, you
chef,
know
yeah.
the food is good. I mean, they can make pizza there.
And he's actually from South America and then moved to New York, so he's a really good chef.
Uh-huh.
And so he makes a 6-week menu, and then we are regulated by the health department. So they come in and they check. We do the calories, the carbs, the proteins. All of our
You have to make sure that's all dealt with.
Exactly. We're low sodium, so therefore we kind of have like monthly luncheons for people to hear about us, and you will find salt shakers on the table because most people want to add salt to it because it is low sodium.
You won't find salt shakers?
No, you will.
Oh, you will, okay.
But our recipients who are elderly, they can't handle, or they may not be able to handle that regular salt, so we just,
They may be more sensitive to it.
right, so we just make all the meals very low sodium. But all of our meals are a base of a protein, a starch, and a vegetable. So today was pork with yellow rice, black beans. Yesterday was chicken parmesan with pasta
I'm getting
and
hungry.
peas. So we do have a very good chef, and our food is very good, but it's also very balanced.
Are there educational programs also available through Meals on Wheels, or no? You go through the
No.
county if you want some
Yeah.
of that, right? You couldn't possibly do all that because they're all homebound, so you wouldn't
Right.
necessarily have where you can provide your programs down at the rec centers where they're being
At the
offered.
senior
adult-
centers, but for some of our homebound clients, we do have social workers and caseworkers that can go to the home and assess the needs. So if they need the meal in addition to maybe some in-home services, they can also do the assessment there for those clients. And then at that time, we also try to provide a little bit of education about the type of meals, because what we're going to do is we're going to assess their environment to see exactly what it is that they have. Do they have enough food in their pantry? Do they have enough milk? Is their refrigerator
Oh, you're
cold
going to go
enough?
beyond the scope of what
Yeah,
you're going to
because
have
if
to go.
they can have the meal, but if they don't have a place to warm up their meal
Right.
or to heat their meal or keep it cool, then really it's not going to be efficient for them, and they won't benefit.
Or you could have somebody, like I remember my mother putting 20 minutes into the microwave.
Yes.
Mom,
Do they have visual
never,
impairment?
Yes.
never put 20. Leave me alone. I go take it out in time. I just put the 20 in because
Oh.
I could see that better.
But that's important.
Okay,
But that's
but what
a,
if you didn't get there?
yeah, but that's a key piece, because you want to ensure that,
She's gonna
first
put
of all,
20,
that
she'll put
they're
an hour in. She
yeah,
doesn't
they're
care.
going to overcook their meal, or it might be too hot
start
for
a fire.
them. Exactly. So we try to just ensure that the clients that are homebound, if they are homebound, that they are receiving those additional services, just to ensure that they can maintain their meals and eat
And if
well.
they-
You were talking about people comparing things, and I find it interesting. I have a cousin who has diabetes too, and has she's diabetic, and she's renal failure, so she's on. And now she got cancer. So, like you say, well, shouldn't you have this? And then she says, no, I can't have that on that diet. I can't, but yes, I should have. And I said, I just read that, a diabetic should have X. And then she says, yeah, but a person who has kidney failure can't have
Right.
X. That's so confusing.
So that's where, if they've been a patient in the hospital, the dietitian would have educated them. So oftentimes they get that education in the medical setting, and then they go home and hopefully they know what to do.
And they'll maintain it.
They'll- yeah.
Yes.
Well, but I mean, I just think the whole thing is very confusing.
It can
Plus,
be.
don't we have daily, not daily, maybe they're not daily, but they feel like daily, and it's probably because, I'm old enough to remember when this was good for you, but now it isn't, and then this is now bad for you, but it was, it just, like over time, there's so many different ideas about what we should and shouldn't eat or
Different
do, or
messages.
different messages out there.
And-
How do you
yeah.
keep up with what's right?
That's our job, is to interpret that information and then educate consumers about what to pay attention to and what to disregard, because there's so much information out there, and it's hard to know what's accurate. So we also help people to know which are the reliable resources. And we read the scientific information and we interpret it for them. and tell them, okay, this is what you need to pay attention to because there's a lot of research supporting this and it's been consistent over time.
As a dietitian, I would just like to, what do you think about vitamins and minerals and things like that?
I knew that question would come up.
How did you know?
I
Because
just
I'm
did.
like,
There's so
who are
many
these people
questions.
that make all these vitamins? Should I trust them? Are they
Well,
Chinese? Do they have FDA
Yeah.
anything? You know what I mean?
Very good
It's
questions.
very worrisome to me that
It is.
the abundance of people who take barrels of these
Yes.
things aren't, and I have found that the people who seem to have a big healthy regimen of taking them get sick.
Yeah.
A lot more than other people who don't do that. So I'm
Most-
confused.
Most of them are not necessary. Most people don't realize that the dietary supplements are not tested before they're put on the shelf. They're not regulated by the FDA. They can be, they're not tested by the FDA. Drugs are tested by the FDA before they're allowed to be sold or prescribed. Dietary supplements are in an entirely different category. They are only tested when they've been shown to cause harm. So a lot of those dietary supplements, vitamins, minerals, and herbal supplements don't have mandatory testing for safety or effectiveness. So there are a lot of people taking them in doses that could be toxic, or they're taking them without knowing how much they need for their body. They're meant to supplement food, not to replace food. And they're not meant to be a treatment. They're not meant for therapeutic reasons unless they're prescribed for therapy. Many people are self-medicating when they take high doses of vitamin, mineral supplements or herbal supplements.
But we're hearing, I think there's so much marketing going on of these things, and if you want to reduce stress, take this vitamin or supplement or David's wort or whatever it's called.
St. John's.
St. John's.
Yeah.
I
Right.
picked a saint.
You did.
I did. Did you notice that? Isn't that good?
St. David.
Some nun somewhere is happy that I picked. But anyway, not only that, but I remember a friend of mine who had a tremendous problem with her eye hemorrhaged, and so she couldn't go anywhere or do anything, and it was patched for weeks and weeks. And I started reading something about one of these herbs and its ability to cause hemorrhaging, and then also a daily dose of aspirin will thin your blood out, right? So I called her up and I said, "Is there any chance blah blah blah?" Because they couldn't figure out why her eye hemorrhaged, and she took all of the
Wow.
things.
Vitamin
And
E can
each
do
one
that
of
too.
them was something that could cause blood thinning to the degree that you would hemorrhage.
Yeah, we see that
Which
a
is
lot.
just insane to me. What do we do about the fact that, now I see us being marketed to death over the flu vaccine. Just beside myself. Do we really need that? Is there any chance that that causes something else? And how do we insulate or protect people who are vulnerable to just buying all these things?
Well, it's been more and more difficult with all the information on the internet to be able to determine what's real and what isn't, and what's being promoted by a company who wants to simply sell their product versus reliable information. So the best thing to do is to check with your physician or dietitian, your health practitioner, and say, based on my current situation and my condition and my diet, what do you think I should be taking? Many times we recommend having a blood test. For example, vitamin D. Many people are deficient in vitamin D, but the only way to know whether you are or not is to have a blood test. And the best way to treat it, really the only way, is to take the recommended amount for you based on what your level is to correct the deficiency. We don't advise people to go out and randomly start taking high doses of any vitamin without being tested.
Because they could do some damage
You
to
can,
themselves.
absolutely.
For sure. We're winding down our time. Well, there was one more question I had for you, and that was I was asking you about what you should do with cancer, and you answered that well. Is there anything when you have cancer that you should actually avoid? You talked about protein and calories being
Right.
important, but are there things that need to be avoided?
There are no foods that we know during cancer treatment that should be avoided. We don't have enough research to really support avoiding any one thing during treatment. However, there is enough research to show that red meat and processed meats increase risk for cancer recurrence or developing cancer, particularly colon cancer. There is an association between red meat, processed meat, and colon cancer. So anyone who is at risk for colon cancer or who has had colon cancer, we do recommend avoiding that as they move forward.
Stay away from the salami, even if it came from New York.
And the hot
anything
dogs.
And the hot dogs, darn, those are
Exactly.
so tasty. We're down to about 3 minutes of time left, and so I want to give each one of you some portion of a minute to make sure that you let viewers know something, you want to repeat something that you said earlier, or there's something we missed that you want to make sure our viewers know about Meals on Wheels or your other programs. You go first, Andrea.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, if you or anyone you know is at home and can't get out to make their own meals, or they can't get to the grocery store, you know, please have them give us a call. We would love to help them out, get that hot home delivered meal to them every day.
Your website?
It's www.mowtampa.org.
M-O-W.
Yeah,
Mo.
Motampa.org.
Mo food.
That's a good way to put it. Mo
That is a
food.
good way.
And our number is 238-8410.
I know we're going to run that during the program, or at the end we'll have the resources there. Michelle?
And for us, a good portion of what we do in addition to delivering meals and providing meals at our meal sites is the education piece. So I just encourage all seniors or anyone in the community, if you're really unsure about your dietary needs, talk with your doctor, but also don't be afraid to contact a dietitian. And we actually have nurses at our senior centers that can provide you with some education and some information, or we can refer you to a dietitian from Moffitt or from another organization that can assist you with your specific needs. And really a lot of it is just educating, making sure that you understand the importance of a nice, well-balanced meal. So no extra chips and cookies and cakes. You know, before and after meals.
And
but
you run a calendar on your website?
we have a calendar that outlines the meals, and for our nutrition program, you do have to be enrolled to receive the home delivered or for the meal site.
But you can go to the
you
education
can-
programs anytime?
Absolutely, or even stop by one of our meal sites, and you don't have to be placed on a waiting list. We'll just enroll you right then and there. But you can go right to www.hillsboroughcounty.org.
And for
And
You?
for accurate nutrition information, seek out a registered dietitian. We also have a Ask the Dietitian on our Moffitt.org website, and eatright.org is another organization where you can find a dietitian in your area.
eatright.org, and we call the program Eating Right Without
That's right.
Knowing. I appreciate you all being here and conveying your vast knowledge and services that the community can take with them and go get and enjoy. Appreciate everyone watching. Stay tuned again for another Happy and Healthy, and please come and visit us at Tampa Bay Community Network. Thank you.